Hi, this is Christy Strickler for GetItScrap.com, and today I'm sharing scrapbooking ideas for unexpected colors on your autumn scrapbook pages. Color is a great storytelling tool for any visual journaler because of its association with nature. It has an ability to trigger a physiological response, and because of the cultural connections that people make to color. Think about traditional fall colors. You want those orange and earthy brown hues. Sometimes reds, golds. It can be fun to shake up your expectations of what those traditional color combinations are and create a story that's rich in color. And that's exactly what the Get It Scrapped creative team has done. We're going to share a collection of autumn pages that use unexpected colors. Our first layout is by Amanda Robinson, and she's doing something that you'll see actually in the next layout as well, and that is something I think every scrapbooker has done. You pull the colors from within the photo. Amanda Robinson says, I documented a colorful fall sunset which I photographed at my local beach. Although this is a fall photo, the colors in it are not what one would traditionally consider to be representative of fall. I took my color scheme straight from the picture by selecting lots of pink supplies and added a pop of yellow to represent the sun. So yes, I did mention that yellow is traditionally a fall color, but it's sometimes the way that the yellow is used, or the shade or hue of that yellow. If it's a brighter color, it's typically associated with summer, and you kind of get that here with this particular shade of yellow. The fall yellow tends to be a little bit deeper and less bright. So if you're wanting to pull colors from within the photo and keep it from being traditionally fall, consider keeping your colors a little bit brighter and more vibrant. The second layout is by Tara, and she says, this photo is a capture from our time exploring the University of Guelph campus. I went with colors from within the image that didn't go with the fall time of our photos. I chose to pull the white from the tall grass tops and the blue from our clothing. I really like how the layout feels cool rather than autumn focused. It allows the photo to be the focus. So sometimes people talk about when you use supplies that it overwhelms the photo. By embellishing lightly and using colors found within the photo here, she's managed to keep the photo the focus rather than emphasize that this time of year is fall. Our third layout is by Pierre Capistran, and she's continuing the concept of using light, fresh color. She's also doing something similar to what happened on the previous layout, in that she's not using a lot of themed fall papers or embellishments. She's keeping things very light and focusing on the story. So if you're concerned that the story or the photos are going to get lost in the theming, this is the route you want to go. Pierre says, for me, fall means the end of the summer and I simply don't like it. This year, though, so many people have told me it's their favorite season. I have decided to try to love it, and I went looking for fall beauties with my daughter and my camera. As I thought my pictures were colorful enough themselves, I mounted them on white cardstock and accentuated the layout with gold, aqua, and apple green. These colors are cheerful, glorious, and convey the message of me looking for the beauty of autumn. The golden glitters remind me of the light shining through the leaves at this time of year. The green and the blue are still found in nature, even though the leaves are now turning yellow and red. On this next layout, we're playing a little bit with the shade or the hue and saturation of the color. You can use a favorite color palette to tell your story. Now, Debra's page is digital, and from her notes, you'll understand that she's done this digitally. But you can do the same thing, whether you're a paper, a hybrid, or a digital scrapbooker, by starting off with your favorite color palette and then looking for shades that are slightly different from the colors that you normally use. Debra says, I used pink, purple, and turquoise as my main colors. This color palette is one of my favorite and one that I often use for beach pages. To make it work for an autumn page, I played with the gradient tool, making a linear and radiant layer with the main colors as my beginning and ending point. I clipped them to my photo, then duplicated the gradient layers and clipped them to my word art and leaf elements. So again, she started off with a favorite color palette. And think about how this would be kind of a neat concept. What if you take that color palette and during each season, you play with how deep or light those colors are to tell a seasonal story. And then you've got one story for every season of the year, and they all kind of go together, they complement one another, but the colors match the feeling of that season. This next layout does something similar to what we have seen earlier. We talked about pulling color from the photo. In this case, we're going to pull color from the story. And then you're going to add just a couple of themed embellishments to support that story and make sure that you know that it's a seasonal story. Katie Scott says, "We live at sea level in Florida, so October is hurricane season for us. It's always a stressful month of weather watching and house security. My color scheme is red, blue, black, and cream. When I Googled hurricane warning, I saw that red and blue with neutral colors was a common color combination used by weather services for hurricane warnings. I added papers with maps and a Jenny Bolin October calendar tag." What's wonderful about this particular approach is that it can help you really bust your stash. You don't have to go and buy a huge fall themed kit. You just need to create a kit based on the colors that support the story and then choose just one or two embellishments or motifs to signal that this takes place in a set season. In this case, it's the October calendar tag that tells you when this takes place. You can also use what's called an ombre effect to symbolize the changing of a season, and we're going to see that in this next page by Carrie Eric. She says, "I created this page to document not only my in-laws' traditions of renting a house near the beach every September, but also to capture the oddness of seeing the leaves turn this time of year. I used ombres of red and blue with gold, charcoal gray, and creams. I really love the saturated red and blue in the ombre paper, especially when paired together. Fall colors are briefly rich, and the ombre reinforces the transition of color seen in the photos of the trees. I knew it would be perfect for this page. The unexpected colors also support the details of the journaling." You can buy ombre paper, and you probably have some in a scrapbook kit somewhere. It was very trendy for a while, but you can also create your own ombre using watercolor. Just look for a tutorial online. This last scrapbook layout is by Sue Outhouse, and we're going to see how she chose a color palette that is opposite what you might expect for fall. Sue says, "This page is about how much I love and appreciate my husband. The photo was taken in the fall, but instead of the rich, saturated color associated with the season, I chose the exact opposite, a pastel watercolor palette. The green is light and fresh, with small bits of pink and coral suggesting spring, not fall. The dominant navy swings the page to a more masculine tone. This combination highlights the topic of my layout, not the time of year the photo was taken." What's nice about using a palette opposite what you would expect is that you can sometimes get a nice contrast between the photo and the background that it's being placed within. It kind of makes the photo pop. You also get the effect or the idea that Carrie was expressing with the ombre, that colors fade. So using a faded color palette or a pastel watercolor type effect can really support your story. The layouts we've seen today really support the idea that unexpected colors on an autumn page can enrich the story. It can also be wonderful for your wallet in that it helps you bust some older stash and choose supplies that maybe you haven't used yet or you just need to use up. All of these pages originally appeared in an article on the Get It Scrapped blog. We'll link up to that article in the notes for this video. For more inspiration, visit getitscrapped.com/blog.